Yellowjackets is one of the most unique shows on TV right now, as it centers around the same character in different time periods. In today's video, we are going to be discussing one of the show's stars' struggles to shoot one of the show's more pivotal scenes, and trust me, you are gonna want to hear her struggle. Stick around, because you will not want to miss a second of this video. So what is Yellowjackets about? Yellowjackets is one of the most unique shows of the century, and after you see this video, I am willing to bet that you are going to go watch the first season of this show, because the premise alone is enough to intrigue any modern TV lover. The show follows a group of American soccer players in the year 1996 who are traveling from New Jersey to Seattle for a national soccer tournament. Sounds normal and uninteresting, right? Wrong. While on the way to the tournament, the team's plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness, and the survivors are left to fend for themselves in order to survive. The surviving members of the team slink into some low levels in order to survive, but that is not all the show is about. We actually know that the members who survive the crash do end up surviving in the wilderness, as the show also follows the gang in their current lives in 2022, and how much the crash has affected their lives even 26 years later. It is very interesting and at times really emotionally driven and expertly acted. The characters really take you to the deepest parts of their anxieties and despair, thanks to the events of that day in 1996. And while you may think that the scenes in the Canadian wilderness would be much happier than the scenes with the girls who have now grown into women, however, that is simply just not true. The scenes in present time are some of the best acted scenes of television I have ever seen. And even though this is an entirely fabricated scenario, they find a way to make it feel real, like all of them actually went through this disaster in real life and are trying to find ways to cope with the everyday burden of just trying to live normally. It is truly haunting in some ways, but the brilliant performances will keep you coming back for more episode after episode. But one of the actresses that leads the main cast couldn't help but unveil that she had some trouble shooting one of the most pivotal scenes. And now that you have some backstory on the show's premise, you may understand why it would be so hard to act some of these raw and powerful scenes. Next, Sophie Nelisse opens up about a difficult task. Most of the scenes in Yellowjackets are incredibly emotional, which makes them so difficult to act. But there is one other factor to consider when you look at this situation. The show centers around the same group of people, just at different times in their lives, in 1996 and in 2022. Because the time gap is so drastic, the showrunners have decided to have a group of actors playing the girl in 1996 and a different group of actors playing the girls in 2022. This means that there are two different actors playing the same character, which means that these actors have to work in unison, essentially in order to make their performances line up. So now, instead of the actors getting to have their own spin on the character and do things they would take the character in a direction that they see fit, they're forced to collaborate with their fellow actors in every character choice, which obviously impacts the creative process. The actors have been working incredibly hard in order to keep the continuity of the characters intact, however. Sophie Nelisse, who plays Shauna, along with actor Melanie Lynskey, shared a story that outlined the hardest moment of the season 1, and it is going to blow you away. For starters, the scene in question was difficult to shoot regardless of the whole two actors, one character thing, as the scene was Shauna being forced to execute an abortion on herself in the middle of the wilderness. I don't want to get too much into the scene, as it is incredibly heartbreaking and graphic. However, when asked about the scene, Nelisse said, "It was quite tricky because we wanted to film it with such respect and honor it in a way to show the vulnerability of it all and the reality of it all. It was quite sensitive for everyone, but we also felt the duty to show it on the screen and to talk about it because it's a big taboo. Also, it was just so graphic, not just having an abortion, but doing it on your own, putting the danger of it all, your life at risk, the mental horror and physical horror of it all of these aspects mixed together. Sounds really difficult, right? Well, it continued to get harder for her as the season dragged on. Nelisse shot another scene for the first season that saw her character have to discover that her best friend had died in the wilderness, and trust me, this scene is a doozy as well. When asked about it, Nelisse said she's lost her sister, her other half, but also at the same time, it's finally her opportunity to be herself, to have a voice, and to find her voice and discover who she is without Jackie. So it's going to be a very interesting mix of feeling really guilty, but also feeling kind of free and having this weight lifted off her shoulders. It'll add to the complexity of Shauna. It'll add complexity to say the least, but can we count on the two actors to continue their amazing chemistry to grow this character into the now confirmed second season? Nelisse and Linsky have worked hard to bring this character to life, and they do not plan on slowing down. The pair of actors have had the daunting task of creating one character with two essentially completely different personalities and lives. It is definitely not easy, but so far, it has created such an amazing product on screen. It makes us wonder how they managed to pull it off. But according to the actors, they sat down, had a cup of coffee together, and hashed out their ideas for the character, and ensured that their ideas aligned in order to properly portray this woman in 1996 and 2022. Nelisse said, "We saw her in the same light. I think we both had a lot of points in common with Shauna. Reserved inner strength, growing up sitting in the role of the observer. I was quite surprised that we even looked alike at first because I'm blonde with blue eyes. I thought there's no way I'm getting cast. But now, there are more and more things I see. While they are playing the same character, they are in different points in their lives. Oh, and one of them is stranded in the wilderness. Nelisse's scenes are all in the wilderness and have seen her grow into a vicious hunter and ruthless survivor, doing all she can in order to survive. Of course, you would never guess that from the scenes in 2022 with Linsky at the helm of the character, Nelisse commented on the fact that her character's darkness is easy to express in the wilderness, and while it is less obvious back in 2022, it is definitely still present in that version, which is amazing to watch. In the wilderness, it's not so weird. She can blame it on surviving. She's slowly finding a passion for it and enjoys it. Later on, it sticks because it's such an important part of her life. It speaks to her darker side and all of the things she's trying to push down and deny about herself. While the pair have worked so hard to make one smooth flowing character, they continue to find ways to express the same character traits in vastly different ways. Obviously, the Shauna in 2022 can't traverse the wilderness and hunt and kill for sport and food in order to express some of her anger, and yet she finds a way to carry that brooding nature with her wherever she goes and whoever she is with. But of course, how could she not? Obviously, as the show goes on, we will see more and more of what Shauna was forced to do in order to survive, and we will see just how borderline impossible it is for her to keep it together and even come close to functioning at a normal human level. And I think as the show goes on, we'll see just how amazing the acting in this show truly is. We don't even know the full extent of her trauma, which is saying a lot considering the trauma we've seen so far. But if I'm being honest, I think the show will only get deeper and richer as time goes on, and we'll learn more about what happened in the woods in 1996. You can stream Yellowjackets on Showtime right now. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.